Hi. What's up?
Hey.
Not you. What's up, fam? Brandon Walker here with SEC Country, more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast. The second podcast of the new year. You know, not every podcasting outlet decided to do a show on New Year's. Not every Mississippi State show was available on New Year's, but mine was. Mine was. You know why? Because that's how much I love you. That's how much you mean to me. Also, they told me I had to do one. Anyway, not really that important. Boy, the SEC's back. Turns out reports of the SEC's demise were greatly exaggerated. The SEC just fine. Playing for a national title. I contend it all started when Mississippi State turned it around to beat Louisville. The conference was dead in the water. I mean, they were just sinking. Everybody's losing. A&M's losing to Wake Forest. Kentucky's losing. And here comes Mississippi State and puts the conference on their back, and all of a sudden the conference has momentum and now playing for a national title. You're welcome, Georgia. You're welcome, Alabama. It's going to be crazy around here, Terp. It's going to be crazy around here. Alabama and Georgia playing for a national title.
Yeah, Atlanta's going to be fun times this weekend.
Atlanta's going to be rough. It's going to be.
I'm pumped.
It's going to be something else. Starkville, Columbus. Hello, Willie Harris. Hail State from Athens, Alabama. Pray for me as Alabama won last night. Kim and Sullivan. So everybody pray for Kim and Sullivan. Sorry about that, Kim. Hello, Ginger Tuck. Hello, Matt McBrayer. Hello, Reeves Fancher in Huntsville, Alabama. Morning, D. Curtis. Back home in Little Rock after the trip to the bowl game. Yeah, I think everybody's back home and settled in. It is cold outside. Is it as cold in Mississippi as it is here? It is. When I got to my car this morning, it was 10 degrees. That's BS. All right. If I want to live in 10-degree weather, I'd move north.
10 degrees?
It was 10 degrees when I got to my car this morning.
Was it 10 or it felt like 10?
It was 10. The car said 10.
10? Wow.
So the car thought it was 10. So whatever the car thought, that's what I'm going with. Hello, Ken and Renee Williams. Hello, Michael Clyburn. Hello, Henry Pennington. That's a new name, Nashville, Tennessee. Haven't seen Henry here before. So worth sitting in the cold to get that win, says Paula Smallwood Dobbs. Hello, Debbie Walker Hill Bain. Cheers for Coach Moorhead. Yes, indeed. Hail State from Memphis is where Debbie's checking in from. South Haven is here, so a lot of people in the same area over there. LaParis Brown's trying to get me to recruit Chris Moncrief of Raleigh, Mississippi. 6'2", 237, had over 5,000 yards. Is he a Moncrief from Raleigh? Is he related to Dante? Hail State from the frozen tundra of Nashville. Bentonville, Arkansas. Everybody's cold. Everybody's cold this morning. Looks like the Mississippi coast is cold. Port Charlotte, Florida. I bet he's not cold. I bet Christopher Holly's not cold. Port Charlotte, Florida's way down there. Tupelo, Mississippi. Kathy is here. Hello, Kathy. Lamerick Hill from Sugarlock, Mississippi, down there in Noxubee County. I'm pretty sure it's in Noxubee. I don't think it's all the way to Kemper. Hail State from Chicago. Hello, Antonio Jenkins. So on today's show, we'll talk about, what do you think we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the SEC being back, playing for a national title. What happened yesterday? We'll talk about that a little bit. The future is very bright for Mississippi State. We're going to look at the 2018 offense for today. Just the offense, not the whole team. The defense is loaded. But we're going to talk about the offense and just some things I noticed, something that I should have said on the podcast yesterday I forgot, and it got left on the cutting room floor. Mississippi State basketball, SEC basketball starts tonight. State and Arkansas, big game. Big game. It feels like now or never for this team. We will see. We will see in today's top five. The top five biggest games of 2018. The top five biggest games for Mississippi State in 2018. Let's go about 3 or 4 more minutes here. Summerall, Mississippi, hello. What do you think of UCF in the college football playoff? They didn't deserve to be there. Period. I know they beat Auburn. That's great. What a great story. But you can't go to the college football playoff if your best wins are Memphis and South Florida. You just can't. You can't do it. Not when the other teams have been playing, I mean, look at Georgia. They played Auburn twice. They played Notre Dame. Look at Auburn. UCF beat Auburn, but Auburn played 3 teams in the college football playoff and played one of them twice. By the way, VHS or DVD? You remember VHS? It's going to have to be DVD. I don't still have a VHS player. You know what a VCR is, Terp? It's what we used to watch our movies on. Okay.
Yeah. Not that young.
Is that what you watched The Lion King on when you were younger?
Yeah.
Okay. Rugrats in Paris.
Yep, great.
Hello, Wayside, Mississippi. Kenny Manning with his obscure town of the day. Cool to hang out with you and the Nine Finger Man at the Irish Pub. Jess Hardy, yes. Jess was at McCool's Irish Pub. I was hanging out with Bob Carskadden. It was good to meet Jess. Great to meet Jess. I have the Year of the Comebacks on VHS. I also have that on VHS. I bought it at a library book sale for $1 like 3 or 4 years ago. Boyd Barnett. That's the 1999 Year of the Comebacks VHS tape. Highlight tape. Ginger Tuck has a VCR DVD combo. Well, look at you. Look at you. I used to have that, but those things always broke.
I had one too.
Did you really? I wish I still had a VCR because I have a VHS tape of me dunking a basketball.
You still watch DVDs to this day?
No, I don't. Every now and then I'll pop one. I have you can tell when I stopped collecting DVDs because like 2006 it just stopped.
Yeah.
But every movie from like in 99 2006 I got the DVD for. But yeah, I don't really watch DVDs much anymore. We have a couple of kids things that we watch. Brandon, can you ask Crystal to open up a drive-thru in Dubai? Many thanks. Yes, Buster Bone, I will get on that immediately. Bob Ivy still can't believe the Bulldogs overcame so many things to beat Louisville. I can't either. It's still a remarkable win. All right. That should be on Hail State Plus. You're right. The VCR broke. The DVD still works. Ginger Tuck with an update on the VCR DVD combo. So it's not a VCR DVD combo anymore. It's just a DVD player. I love how these conversations get to this point. Anyway.
You watch Blu-ray?
Huh?
You ever watch Blu-ray?
Yeah, I got a PS. Well, I still have a PS3.
Oh,
I don't have a PS4. Yeah. Once PS4 came out, I had kids, and it was over. Speaking of kids, how'd you guys like Tommy yesterday? Thomas Brandon Walker Jr.
Seems to be a fan favorite out there in the comments section.
The fans seem to like Tommy being here more than I like Tommy being here. I love my kid, but it was hard to keep him still. It was definitely hard to keep him still. But I knew that coming in. I knew it would be tough. All right. Good place to Facebook Live. You know how this works. If you're new to this, just wait, and I'll come back to you after the podcast is over. Terp, if you're ready, I'm ready.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
Every day when that intro plays, first of all, I have the best intro in the business. Thank you to my to my state fan who helped me out with that. Jay Langston was his name. Thank you for that intro. It remains the favorite part of the show for me. But every day when that SEC Country plays and they go SEC, SEC, I always pump my fist 3 times and chant SEC for a second. But today it feels a little more real, doesn't it? Today, I don't get into the whole I'm rooting for this conference or I'm rooting for that conference. I generally hate the teams in the SEC, but I'd be lying to you if I said there wasn't some satisfaction that the SEC went out and won those 2 games. Now, I don't actively root for Alabama or I don't actively root for Georgia to win. But when they did, it's always nice for people outside the conference to get a taste of what we have to deal with on a year-in, year-out basis. You know, you can look at Mississippi State and say, oh, they're 9-3, they're 8-4. Well, guess what? If you were in this conference and playing these monsters every year, you would be too. There'd be a slight ceiling on what you're doing too. So every now and then when the SEC does flex its muscles, it's nice to get that recognized on a national stage because it's tough down here. It is rough down here for teams, well, for anybody, really, for anybody. But Georgia with a terrific win. Boy, that was one of the best football games I've ever seen. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm Brandon Walker. You're watching or listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. That Georgia-Oklahoma Rose Bowl was as good a football game as I've seen in years and years and years. I can't remember a better game. Now, everybody says, was it better than Texas-USC Rose Bowl? I don't know. I mean, it's right up there with it. It's the same class of game. Credit to Georgia for fighting back. Credit to Georgia for, I thought they were getting embarrassed in the first half. I thought they came out scared, coaching scared, but they got it fixed. They got it right, and they went out, and they took it to Oklahoma, and Alabama just dominated Clemson. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. I predicted Alabama and Oklahoma to win yesterday. I knew if you give Nick Saban a month and tell him for a month he shouldn't be in the playoff, that team's going to be ridiculous. And that defense is healthy. I think Alabama's going to win the national title. I don't like it one bit, but I think that's what's going to happen. So, on today's show, we're going to talk about the SEC flexing its muscle, and where Mississippi State falls into the SEC's pecking order, both this year at the end and next year. And you guys know me. I know you. I think they rank pretty high. The future is very bright at Mississippi State. Our second topic today, we'll talk about the Mississippi State offense in 2018. There was a point that I should have made on the show yesterday about the running game that I would like to make today. And we'll talk about the rest of that offense from Fitzgerald and Thompson all the way down to running back, tight end, offensive line, all the way down the list. We'll talk about all that. Mississippi State basketball, big game tonight, kicking off SEC play, Mississippi State and Arkansas. It's real now. It's about to get real. 12-1 start. Doesn't feel that real? Hey, basketball team, go out and prove me wrong. Prove me to be an idiot like the football team did. I don't know that I believe in this team yet, but I want to believe really, really badly. Beating Arkansas at home would be a great start to the SEC season. We'll talk about that later. Today's top five, the top 5 Mississippi State games of 2018. The top 5 games of 2018 for Mississippi State athletics. Back to the top. Yeah, so the SEC roars back. The SEC came back. It was a poor bowl season all the way through about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It was a very poor bowl season. Some teams just wet the bed. Texas A&M losing to Wake Forest, how does that happen? South Carolina beating Michigan is a miracle because South Carolina is awful. But Auburn losing to UCF, how does that happen? It was a poor bowl season. But you know what happened? And you're going to see on ESPN and on Fox and on everywhere, they're going to say, oh, Georgia really came back. They showed a lot of toughness. They showed a lot of mettle. Alabama, they're right where they need to be. Both these teams are awesome. They saved the SEC. No. You know who saved the SEC? Mississippi State. The SEC was just floating out there in the abyss. Don't shake your head, Terp. They were just floating out there in the abyss, losing to everybody, struggling, 0-4 in bowl season. It was embarrassing. You know who came along? A bunch of dogs. A bunch of dogs came along and said, all right, conference. All right, SEC, you treat us like crap, but that's all right. We got you. The SEC was struggling, losing, floundering, and here comes Mississippi State. Picks the SEC up, dusts it off, and all of a sudden, here comes the SEC. And it's all thanks to the momentum from Jacksonville the other day. You don't agree with me, Terp? I don't either, but it's something to say. Also, I don't care about the rest of the SEC. Once State won, whatever. Once Mississippi State won in Jacksonville, I'm like, whatever happens, happens. I don't care. But to get back to serious matters here, because that's what we are about on this show, serious matters. At the end of 2017, if you look at the SEC, you had to rank them. Obviously, Alabama and Georgia are number 1 and 2. I think Auburn is comfortably number 3, despite the loss yesterday. I mean, you look at who Auburn lost to this year. If you add up the 4 teams, the records of the 4 teams they lost to undefeated UCF. They lost to Georgia. They lost to Clemson, and then they have that bad loss to LSU. But I think Auburn's number 3. I think, if you had this poll outside of this office, outside of the Mississippi State fan base, the national experts are going to say LSU is the number 4 team in the SEC. No. Mississippi State was the number 4 team in the SEC this year. State was better than LSU. State, if it hadn't laid that ridiculous egg in the Egg Bowl, would have been in the Citrus Bowl and would have beaten Notre Dame yesterday. But they did, offering the chance for LSU to slide in that bowl and embarrass themselves one more time. Mississippi State's a better team than LSU. I think State's the number 4 team in the SEC in 2017. LSU number 5, South Carolina number 6. And then after that, the SEC was a bad conference. Actually, after LSU, the SEC was a bad conference. The top 5 are okay. I mean, LSU 9-4, State 9-4. South Carolina's a fake 9-4. They lost to Kentucky, lost to A&M, beat La Tech by 1. After that, the SEC was really, really bad. But that's enough about 2017. Let's go to 2018. Alabama and Georgia will be number 1 and 2 in some capacity. Georgia's recruiting at a very, very high level. Alabama's always going to be there. Somebody talked me out of Mississippi State being the number 3 team in the SEC in the preseason. Can somebody do that? Because you would have to convince me of a hell of a lot. Auburn's losing their offensive line, losing a lot of playmakers. Pass carry on Johnson, they're very average at running back. Stidham's a very good quarterback, but they're average at wide receiver. You would have to work very, very hard to convince me Auburn is better than Mississippi State in 2018. Auburn has to come to State. Who else are you going to try? I mean, LSU? Sure. I know that at SEC Media Days, LSU and Auburn will both be picked ahead of Mississippi State by the media. But I don't buy it. Mississippi State was 30 points better than LSU in 2017. And LSU is going to be worse. If they were going to be better, that changes things. But they're going to be worse. They're going to have a new quarterback, Miles Brennan. They're going to have a new running back. They're going to have new skill players across the board. They'll be pretty good defensively. But I'm just not convinced. And plus, again, they're coached by Ed Orgeron. They're not improving from year to year. I think State is the number 3 team in the SEC coming in 2018. I think State's a top 12, 13 team in the country next year. In the preseason. They won't get that. But I'm telling you right now, that's what I think. I think people around the country will have no idea what State has coming back. They'll have no idea. Now, some of this is contingent on Montez Sweat coming back on the defense, so we'll get to that. But if I told you, take the team name off the jersey. If somebody said, make a case for a team coming back, what do they have coming back in 2018? Well, here's what Mississippi State has coming back. A quarterback who has already made an All-SEC team. A freshman backup who just beat a Heisman Trophy winner in the bowl game. One of the league's best 3 or 4 running back groups. One of the top 3 or 4 running back groups in the league, led by a senior who rushed for 1,100 yards this year. One of the league's 2 or 3 best offensive lines that led the league in sacks allowed and was second in the league in tackles for loss allowed. 4th in the league in rushing yards per game. A defensive line that will challenge for being the best in the SEC, and that's in a league with Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn. The best defensive player in the league for 2018, Jeffrey Simmons. If he comes back, one of the best pass rushers in the league. The guy that led the SEC in sacks in 2017. A linebacker core that is deep and talented, full of 4-star talent. Errol Thompson, Willie Gay have shown to be future stars at this level. That's a lot that I've just described coming back. And I don't think national media has any idea that's all coming back at Mississippi State. If wide receiver comes along, if defensive back comes along, you've got something really special. I think those are the two questions going into 2018. That's probably the least amount of question positions I've seen in a while. It's going to be the first year in, a decade where we go into the season without offensive line being at least a question mark? I'm just saying. I know it's 8 months off, but this team is loaded. Can Moorhead coach? We're going to find out very quickly. Let's look at the 2018 offense. I forgot to make this point this weekend. I forgot to make it yesterday on my show. But I've heard a lot this year, why doesn't Kylan Hill get more carries? Why doesn't Nick Gibson get more carries? Folks, Aris Williams is far and away the best option at running back. He is far and away the best running back we have. And I think the Gator Bowl, the Tax Slayer Bowl, proved that. Now, Kylan Hill is far and away the number 2 option. I think he has solidified himself as a number 2. And by the end of his career, will be a better running back, in my opinion, than Aris Williams is. But right now, Aris Williams is far and away the best option. 12 carries, 88 yards in the Gator Bowl. He ran for 1,100 yards this year. He was quietly one of the most dependable, one of the most efficient running backs in the conference this season. When Aris Williams is not on the field, State's offense looks different. It doesn't operate as efficiently. It doesn't run as smoothly. He makes everything better. Next year, I think Kylan Hill and Aris Williams should be a very, very clear 1-2 punch. Aris number 1, Kylan number 2. I think Hill is the most talented back on the team. And next year, it should be those two guys, 1 and 2. The Tax Slayer Bowl, you watch it, Nick Gibson got a whole bunch of carries, and just every time the offense did not run through Aris Williams or Kylan Hill, it bogged down. Next year, the offense should be, the running game should be, quarterback, whoever it is, Aris Williams, Kylan Hill, period. That's your running game. You're up big, run somebody else. You're down big, run somebody else. But I think that's your running game. The offensive line, Mississippi State shouldn't skip a beat next year. Greg Island, when he came in, the offensive line didn't drop off a bit. Martinez Rankin will be picked in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft, and the offensive line will go right on going. It will go right on just like it was this year, and it was outstanding this year. It was a great offensive line. It dominated teams physically. For the first time in a long time, I think offensive line will be a strength of this team, an unquestioned strength. And Fitzgerald and Thompson, Mississippi State has the best quarterback room in the league outside of maybe Georgia. Georgia with Jake Fromm and then 5-star Justin Fields, who it's still the dumbest thing I've ever seen for him to sign with Georgia. Why do you sign to go ride the bench? That is, you've got 4 years to play. Use them. Don't go sit behind somebody who's going to win a national title as a freshman. You're never going to play. Anyway, that's not for this show. In Fitzgerald and Thompson, State has one of the best quarterback rooms in the league. Throw in Jalen Maiden. Wow. Enter Joe Moorhead. The offensive coordinator of Penn State, now the head coach at Mississippi State. He is regarded as one of the best offensive minds in college football. And whatever wrinkles he adds will be exciting. Whatever wrinkles he decides to add will be exciting. But the big point about my offensive breakdown here for 2018, Joe Moorhead is in a very unique place. A very unique place for 3 reasons. He's entering a program that he does not have to rebuild. How many coaches enter a program that they don't have to rebuild? How many coaches enter a ready-made program? Not very many. Normally, coaching changes happen for a reason. They happen because the last coach struggled or failed or went 0-8 in the SEC. Hey, Tennessee fans. Or got on probation, cheated, and bottomed out. Hey, Ole Miss fans. Or generally are just bad people. Hey, everybody else. So, he's coming to a situation with 18 starters back of a team that just went 9-4, will finish in the top 20. He doesn't have to rebuild anything. He just has to keep it going. He inherits a great culture. I think culture is one of the most overused words in sports. But it's the best word I have to describe what's at Mississippi State. And this team just stared down Louisville despite all reasons not to. Despite every excuse in the world available to them, they won that game. Because this team rallied together, high-quality character, great individual people on this team, and they weren't going to lose. And that's what he inherits. He inherits a very good culture of people, a very good group of young men. And I think Dan Mullen gets a lot of credit for that, and Joe Moorhead will continue that. But the most unique thing here and the most exciting thing for me is he is an offensive guru. He is an offensive guy who's going to bring his own slant on things. He is an offensive guy who's going to take whatever Mullen built and tweak it, change it, whatever he has to do. It's going to be a more exciting brand of football. And he has several offensive weapons waiting on him. When Mullen got here, he had to patchwork at several positions. Quarterback, several positions. Wide receiver. He had to patchwork that for a while. He eventually got it running. Joe Moorhead doesn't have to patchwork anything. Got Fitzgerald, got Thompson. Take your pick. Take your pick. Whichever quarterback you want, use him. He's going to be outstanding. Here's 3 good running backs. Use them. Here's 3 good receivers in the recruiting class. Sign them, use them. So it's just very exciting that Moorhead has a luxury of options here. He has a luxury of an offense that has weapons, and that's very, very rare for a new coach to come into that. Here we go, Mississippi State basketball tonight. Mississippi State against Arkansas. Arkansas is pretty legit. They're 11-2. They beat number 19 Tennessee on Saturday. They beat number 14 Minnesota earlier this season. Their only losses are to Houston and defending national champion North Carolina. I mean, they're legit. They're a top 6 or 7 SEC team. They'll be on the bubble this year in the tournament. And they can score. Arkansas can score a lot. They routinely get up to 90, 100. State has had a very good defense so far this year. If that defense holds Arkansas under 70, I think we have something. But this is a very, very, very important game. It feels like it's now or never. You know, it feels like we've been waiting forever for this team to turn the corner, and we're still waiting. Could this be a big step towards that? It could be. If State wins this game, it could be. It just feels like our fan base is waiting for an excuse, waiting for a scenario to jump on board with this team. 12-1 with a really bad schedule doesn't do it. You got to win some important games. You got to win some games that stir the fan base's imagination. And home against Arkansas tonight is a start. Is a very good start. If State can start 3-2 or 4-1 in the league, postseason play becomes a very good possibility. Look at the first 5 games here. At Arkansas tonight, you got to win it. For this to happen, you have to win it. At Florida, going to be tough. At Ole Miss, Vanderbilt at home, Auburn at home. Now, at Florida, you're probably not winning that game. At Ole Miss, crucial. Vanderbilt at home, crucial, because those are the 2 worst teams in the league. They're terrible. You got to win those games. And Auburn is like Mississippi State in that they've got a great record, but they haven't really been tested. If you could steal that game at Ole Miss, and if you could win this game tonight against Arkansas, you put yourself in prime position to make this season matter. And that's all we've been waiting for as a fan base at Mississippi State with our basketball program. Tonight is huge. Tonight is huge. I don't think it'll be a big crowd because it's 9 degrees outside and nobody wants to drive. Nobody wants to get outside. And you know what? I don't either. Today's top 5. Top 5 biggest games of 2018. The top 5 biggest games of 2018. Now, this is obviously predictions. Number 5, and it goes from 5 to 1, but really it's just the 5 most important. Don't consider 5 through 1 a ranking. Number 5, I wanted some baseball representation here, so I had several choices. But I would say a home series, May 17th through 19th, against defending national champion Florida. I think that's the most important baseball series of the year. Honorable mention goes to the SEC opener against Vanderbilt in March. It'll be the first SEC series in the new stadium. But I'm going to go with the home series against Florida to end the regular season. I don't know where State will be in the standings, but you're hosting the national champion in a palace. to end the regular season, that's pretty gigantic. Number 4, women's basketball, with what might be the biggest women's basketball game to ever be played in the state of Mississippi. Mississippi State against South Carolina, Monday night, February 5th, 6 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you're there. I can see us selling that out. I can see 10,500 people being there for that game. That's the game State can get revenge after losing to South Carolina 3 times last year. State's going to be a top 5 team. Carolina's going to be a top 5 team. Will be very exciting. The last 3 are all football. Number 3, Mississippi State at Alabama, November 2018. I don't know if State's going to win this game, but I know State is capable of winning the game. And it'll be a good litmus test of Joe Moorhead in his first year. Dan Mullen never really got it together against Alabama. Only was competitive against them one time, really. Well, twice. But one time he really challenged to beat them, and that was 2017. Now, most of that team is back next year. What's Joe Moorhead going to be like in the games against Alabama? Is he going to have this team ready? Is he going to be competitive? That'll be a very key game to watch and see going forward how he treats that. Number 2, September 29th, Florida at Mississippi State. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Florida got a new coach. And he's coming to Starkville, September 29th, 2018. It's going to be a gigantic game. And State's going to beat the piss out of Florida. And it's going to be fantastic. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. Number 1, the only dark stain on 2017, which I think was a pretty good year, was losing to a bad Ole Miss team. Well, you can make that right November 2018, Egg Bowl, going up there and getting your win back. This team should not have lost to Ole Miss. I know it. You know it. Ole Miss knows it. You got to go get that back 2018. That's my top 5 games of 2018. And that's my show for today on the podcast. On Facebook Live, here I come. Get your comments, get your topics ready. My name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. What do you think, Terp? Good show today, right?
Sure. Good job.
I literally don't. I don't think I hate you, but it's close. It's close. Like there's only like a little bit separating dislike and hatred for you.
Why? What did I do wrong?
I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. Hey, you got a new helmet? Did Tyler Russell want his back? No, I didn't. Same helmet. That's the same helmet. That is the same old helmet. Although I did talk to Red Hobart and the marketing team, I am getting a new helmet. I'm getting a new helmet very, very soon. Let's bring in the new year with a shot of Jack. Okay, we can do that tomorrow. Let's do a shot of Jack tomorrow, Terp.
Do we have any more clips?
We'll find clips.
You want to let me pick them?
We'll find clips. Just calm down.
Should I pick them again?
Do random? No, because you did an awful job. Brandon, how large was the State crowd at the game? They sounded loud. Well, I would say they filled up 75% of the side they were on. Maybe that's a little high. Maybe 65% of the side they were on. There were nobody in the end zones, really. Louisville filled up about 65% of the side they were on. It was a good crowd. And it was loud on TV. I thought State represented themselves very, very well in the fan base department in Jacksonville. Thin line between love and hate. There he is, Shannon Lisby. There he is. What's your favorite current MSU helmet? I don't know. I don't really get into uniforms that much. I like the matte helmet. I don't know. I pretty much like everything we wear. My favorite helmet we ever wore, and I guess we just wore it one time, was the white helmet with the bulldog, the silver bulldog outline. I love that.
That was a cool one.
I love that so much. I've listened to that Christmas special you had 3 times, Mac McBrayer. Thank you very much. Do you think the wide receiver decommit was told to look elsewhere? You're talking about John Quarice Patterson of Pearl? Yeah, probably. I'm guessing he didn't have a spot, but whatever. I don't. When Mullen took that commitment, it kind of blew everybody's mind because I don't think anybody thinks he's going to play Division I football the next 2 years. The game seemed louder on TV than in person. Well, I was stuck behind the glass of the press box, which I hate. So I didn't really feel the loudness in person. But I did watch it on TV, and it was loud. Yes, our crowd was loud and proud and cold, says Paula Smallwood Dobbs. Which recruits are enrolling early, says Reeves Fancher. Well, I know Marcus Murphy is, and I think Jalen Maiden is. I don't know past that. I know Marcus Murphy is. Can we talk about Jeffrey Simmons? He gets tons of attention and love, but it's not enough. He's the most pursuing defensive lineman I've ever seen. Dan Glenn, that's a good point. There are some players that even as highly rated as they are, they're still underrated. I think LeBron James is one of those guys. He's known as the best player in the league. He's still underrated. He's still underrated. That's how good he is. Jeffrey Simmons gets a lot of credit, but he is still underrated because he is the most dominant defensive player State's had in years and years, maybe decades. You cannot block him. 1, 2, you can't block him. He changes plays. He changes everything. Jeffrey Simmons is a phenomenal college football player. Greg Island is making a name for himself. Great guy and dedicated player. Pam Buchanan Eifling. Yeah. Greg Island looks to be a stud. You know what's funny? I have to make a point here, so I'm going to miss a couple of comments. Scott Lashley, 4-star offensive tackle out of West Point a couple of years ago, 2016 class. Everybody freaked out when he committed to Alabama, myself included. Everybody was like, why are we losing a 4-star offensive lineman to Alabama? Now, Lashley hasn't played a meaningful snap at Alabama. But in the 2016 class, State signed Greg Island and Stuart Reese. And State's offensive line was great this year with Stuart Reese and Greg Island playing a lot of snaps. They are the tackles of the future. So maybe, and I don't want to give John Hevesy credit at all for anything, but maybe he did know what he was doing. I'm not convinced if Lashley at Iowa State, he would have played meaningful snaps here either. I mean, these two guys, these two redshirt freshmen, are legit, and Island is one of those guys. Do you think Arias will get drafted next year? I don't think so. I don't think Arias has the top-end speed needed to be an every-down running back in the NFL. I don't think he's going to get drafted. I hope he does. I hope I'm wrong. Do you think Jeffrey Simmons will be a top 20 first-round draft pick if he goes to the NFL? I think you could eliminate about 17 of those in the top 20. That guy's a top 3 to 5 pick. That guy's a top 3 to 5 pick in the NFL. Easy. I haven't seen any 2019 mock drafts yet, but he will come out as a junior. He'd be stupid not to. And he'll be a big-time top of the first-round pick. Peyton was excited that you mentioned him on your show yesterday. He is telling everyone he's famous now. Okay, there you go. Justin Mask. 8-year-old Peyton. I met him in Jacksonville. That's awesome. I think they're from Arkansas, if I remember correctly. New Orleans runs multiple backs out there. Well, that's fine, but one of them's Alvin Kamara, who runs like a 1.540 and is the best running back in the history of the league, apparently. And Mark Ingram, who won a Heisman. So I don't see Arias doing it. Simmons might be the first defensive player picked next year. Very, very, very possibly. We should be able to win the SEC championship next year with our class coming back, Matt McBrayer. Okay. I will pump the brakes on that one. I mean, still got to climb the Alabama mountain. Still got to prove you can beat Auburn and LSU in the same year. Still got to take care of business in games like Ole Miss that you should have taken care of business of in this year. So, but I think we've got the tools to be one of the best teams in the SEC next year. Lamar who just threw another INT, says Junior Ray. To be honest, they should have only scored 10 points. Possibly. I don't like our fans downgrading Lamar Jackson, though. He's a fantastic football player. I know you didn't just do it, but some have. What is your expectation of State next year? Where do you see us finishing? So, I think 9-3 is my baseline, and 10-2 is what I'm leaning. This year, 8-4 was my baseline. 9-3 is what I ended up predicting. But I think 9-3 is as low as I would go, and 10-2 I'm probably going to feel pretty confident of that by August. X Factor, we have a play caller who will not back down, Sean Barker. I think that's a little overstated. I don't think we had a play caller that backed down last year. I know some fans do. I don't agree with it. Hello from Yazoo City, Mississippi, Jay Willingham. Hello, Jay. Thank you for being here on More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. The best Mississippi State podcast in 2018, right?
Thanks to me.
And 2 people in a row ask about the – wow, 3 people in a row. 3 people in a row ask about the late hit. Why was that not reviewed? Worst call you've ever seen? What'd you think if the late hit, no fumble play? Yeah, it was one of the worst calls in the history of college football, that's all. It was one of the worst calls in the history of college football. It was an awful play. Awful call. Embarrassing. You can't miss that. It was a fumble. Mark McLaurin forced a fumble. It was recovered by Mississippi State. He was not out of bounds. Pathetic officiating. But it was par for the course during that game. Par for the course during that game. Dan used to take chances down the field at Florida. Really never did here. Yes, he did, Sean Barker. He did. That's people kind of see what they want to see, so I'll let it happen. Did anyone notice the first play of the game that McLaurin nearly picked off Jackson? Sign of things to come, Dan Glenn. Yeah, he did. He did. I think it was thrown a little high, and McLaurin didn't have quick reflexes on that one. He later intercepted almost that exact same pass. So can you post the late hit? Well, I mean, you guys can post it. I'm working. I'm busy out here. Why aren't we talking about food?
What's for lunch?
I don't know. Is the cafeteria open?
I would assume so. Isn't it like a normal work day today?
Look at this guy over here. He's getting him some cookies.
He's getting
yeah.
I was eating those rolls last night.
Were they good? Rolls.
Hawaiian rolls. I don't like cookies.
Chauncey and Cole will open up double teams and on Simmons. Hopefully. Well, I mean, Sweat benefited from Simmons double teams this year. Other players benefited from it. I mean, it can be good to have your main guy double team. It can be great. I had a meet in 3, says Lee Jennings. Moe's Barbecue in Starkville is the best, says Lane Davis. Buster Bones says Crystal in Dubai. I thought you just said they didn't have one. You need a Whataburger. That's what you need. Is there a Whataburger anywhere in Atlanta?
I don't think so. It's Florida, right?
Texas. It's a Texas chain.
It's definitely in Florida.
It's in Florida.
I don't think it's in.
I think it's somewhere in Georgia.
I'll find out.
Would you Google Whataburger Georgia locations? We need to know. Top 5 Taco Bell items. I don't really. I don't eat Taco Bell. I don't like Taco Bell. I mean, it's not. I have nothing against fast food.
There's one in
Thomasville, Georgia. That's
very
way
close
down
to
there,
Florida.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Essentially Florida.
Moe's Barbecue has the best wings ever, says Shannon Lisenby. That sounds good. Doug Gibson says, did you see the UCF defensive player that was missing his hand? That's amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Number 18. Forget his name off the top of my head. That's pretty cool. So what's your excuse? Well, mine is I'm 38 and fat. But what's yours? Also have 4 kids. Good excuse. What's yours? And I'm broke. What's yours? Good day for a hearty soup. It is a good soup day. Good soup day. Good chili day, too.
What is your soup of choice?
My mom used to make a chicken and rice soup. And then there's always Brunswick stew, which is delicious. My Uncle Donnie on Truman Creek Road would make a squirrel stew every now and then. First time I ever brought my fiance down there at the time, we had to tell her it was pork, but it was squirrel. It was squirrel. Yeah. You don't believe that, do you? Squirrel stew? Yeah.
Did it taste like pork?
Tastes like squirrel.
Oh. I don't know if I'd try that.
I mean,
I probably would.
You put anything in a stew, it's going to be fine. You let it all marinate together. Loaded potato soup is also
that sounds good.
also really good.
Wendy's chili is actually not bad. You ever had that?
Wendy's chili is good. It is good. Oh, we're on soups today. I was about to check out, but now that we're on soups, I'm going to stay in. Yeah. Best tacos is fish tacos at Felix Fish Camp in Mobile. Never been there. Grace Thacker good. Sounds good, though. I love fish tacos. If you had to give up one, which would you give up? What were my options, Kenny? I'm sorry. Give me my options again. Gumbo or chili? Ooh. If I had to give up
Chili.
one,
I'd
give up gumbo. Because I have gumbo less than I have chili. Like, I'll have chili 10 times a year. I'll have gumbo twice a year. Both are fantastic. Also, Thomas, my little boy yesterday, allergic to shrimp. So we can't have seafood in my house. So
Why can't you have other seafood?
Huh?
There's more to seafood than just
yeah, we don't want to even risk it. So because he's really allergic. Chili sucks, says Kenny Manning. Let me tell you something, Kenny.
Dude, Hard Times chili?
Stop.
Put it on.
Stop.
Ready?
Stop. Let me tell you something, Kenny. All right. I put up with your crazy town every day and your other stuff. I'm not putting up with this. Chili is delicious. You haven't had the right chili. Chili sucks. What is wrong with him? I'm allergic to seafood, so chili.
Cereal soup.
Mitch Keys wants to talk about football for some reason. Look, honestly, we have 18 returning for 18, which many have played for 3 years. Really good receivers to go with tight ends. Defense is really good. We have our best chance at the West we've ever had. Yeah. I agree with all of that. All of that. Although I don't know how good the tight ends are. Chili is great and makes you shoot shotguns. Gumbo wings from Snack Shack in Gulfport. Gumbo wings?
What is that?
How does that work? Gumbo wings. Google that. Gumbo wings. How does that work? I mean, I love gumbo and I love wings. I don't see how that works together. Chili is wonderful, but a good chicken and sausage gumbo is yummy also. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Chili is great and so versatile. We will all have gator stew in September. Yo, Brandon, why doesn't Moorhead want to sign and place kids? Blair Chandler. Probably because scholarships are at a premium now, and why waste one to sign and place somebody? Especially when there's no guarantee you get them back. And I think that's what the Pearl wide receivers decommitment's all about. What's the point of signing and placing somebody? I mean, if you have the luxury of scholarships, do it. But if you don't, don't. Red beans and rice or gumbo? I don't love red beans and rice. I don't love red beans and rice. Come to the coast and see and taste. I'm coming to South Mississippi January 20th. Coming there January. There's no news on Montez Sweat yet, Jeffrey. While the NFL are staying, there's no news. I've heard good things out of Mississippi State about that, but also heard some scouts say that they like him a lot. So we'll see. He'll make his decision in time. I'm sure he'll take his time. Doesn't have to make it yet. And that's a very big decision for Mississippi State and for Montez Sweat. If he goes pro, good luck to you. If he comes back, fantastic. Duck gumbo, yummy. Duck. You ever had duck, Terp?
Yes. Paris, actually. Pretty good. So world travel.
Yeah. If I look at you, I think of world traveler.
Should.
I do. I certainly know some places you could go. All right. Gator is good eating, says Mac McBrayer. That's enough of that. Curtis Dickens says, what is your prediction for a basketball game tonight against Arkansas? I don't feel good about it. Arkansas is really good. I think Arkansas is probably going to win that game.
So Arkansas -2?
I've never bet on sports. It's really stupid. But yeah. Yeah. To answer your question. Okay, enough about food. Who's going to leave the team due to not playing? That'll work itself out in the end. And don't ever say enough about food on my show. We talk about food on this show because we recorded at lunch, and every day I'm hungry as hell when we get to the end of my show. Every day. I never remember to eat before the show. Not once have I remembered to eat before the show. We're way over time anyway, aren't we?
Eat during the show.
Just eat right here.
A cooking show.
Just the last 10 minutes of my Facebook.
Just bring out
prepare
some
something.
Yeah.
Favorite foods to smother in cheese? Everything but ice cream. I mean, you can put cheese on anything. Put cheese on a flip-flop and I'm going to eat it. Any news on Terrell Buckley? I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything yet, although I have heard some good signs. Maybe he'll be back. All right, we gotta wrap it up because I've gone way too long and we got wrapped up in a conversation. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it here today. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:45. We're on regular schedule from here till eternity. So good to be back. Good to be back on schedule. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.